All right, y'all. ShopBlat.com. If you need tackle and you want to buy the tackle that I have in my tackle box, ShopBlat.com is where you need to go. I want to help you out with something. I know I use a lot of Z-Man soft plastics. Pretty much predominantly all Z-Man soft plastics. And when it comes to storing Z-Man, you know, it's a little different than your traditional, you know, like stuff that you normally buy. This is like space age NASA, like space. I guess not NASA stuff anymore. SpaceX. It's like Tesla stuff, you know. Like this is red bottom. It's kind of high end plastics, so it's a little different care. You know, it's not the same as everything we've been using for years and years. A lot of the baits that you'll get in Z-Man plastic, they come in these plastic trays like that. You want to leave them in the trays. Don't take this stuff out. Those trays are there for a reason. The best way to store Z-Man Elaztech plastic is to leave everything in the package. Never take anything out of the package. There's really no reason to take them out of the package at all. TRDs, the razor shads, the bang sticks, the mag patties. Leave them all in the bag. So it makes sense in a little while. Now I'll be able to explain that to a certain degree, but I won't be able to give you all the scientific reasons why you need to leave them in the bag. But these trays just help the bait stay in its original form. Obviously they're cut out to the shape of whatever bait you're using. Not all of them come with trays, just like the bang sticks, it comes in just a plastic bag. But if it's something that has like a really small tail, with, you see how this has a serrated body in it, you're like, did you hear that word, serrated? Serrated. It's got something that can really easily get jacked up. They usually put it in a tray. So when you lay it in there, if your bag happens to get, you know, just a little bit mashed up while you're transporting, or if you're putting it in a tackle box or kayak or whatever you keep your tackle in, the bait, you see, keeps its shape no matter how you twist it, turn it, flip it, or shake it. That's really important, because if it lays in that bag for a very long period of time in a way that it's not meant to be, you can't recover from it for the Elaztech. Okay, so I don't know if you want to call that maybe a slight disadvantage. I wouldn't call it a disadvantage, because I like the trays anyway, and then I like not having to think about how to start a plastic, because it's always in the bag and you don't need to take it out of the bag anyway. So I kind of like that. So leave them in the bags, because you don't want them to lose their form. Leave them in the trays just like how they are. You don't want to put them in the plastic tackle box, your plain old boxes, or whatever you like to use. The reason that you don't want to put them in a normal plain old tackle box, one of the other reasons, other than it just losing its shape, the other reason is Elaztech formula. The formula reacts with traditional plastic, even like this box that you see that I have here on the table. From my understanding, the plasticizers will harden when you mix it too. So if I were to take these razor shads out and just kind of place them in little divided cubby holes in my Plano boxes, over time that plastic's going to get hard and almost glued to the box. Now, I don't know what it is in the plastic that makes it do that. All I know is you need to do it. If you read on the back, it has a little label. A lot of people have sent me messages and DMs asking me, you know, hey man, I put my TRDs with some other baits from another company, and all I had was this big goop glob of like Shrek looking, snotty looking stuff, because the plasticizer reacting with the traditional plastic. You don't want to do that. And it actually kind of tells you on the back of the box, on the back of the bag, on every bag of Elaztech. If you're like me, you probably don't read those instructions. And it clearly says, caution, do not store Elaztech with any other kind of plastic baits or conventional plastic storage boxes. That means planos, whatever you like to use. It says do not do that. Caution, right here in red on the back. Z-Man actually sells a lot of storage solutions for their plastics. You'll notice they even have a lot of terminal tackle for the plastics. So we'll talk about that in a minute. It's hard to rig Z-Man on just traditional hooks and jig heads. You really need to go with the hooks and jig heads that they provide and they design, because they're designed exactly for Elaztech, because you're not familiar with it. Like typically if you had a soft plastic that's made out of traditional plastic with that small of a serrated tail, if I did like that, it would come off, but not with that. Boy, that would be bad if it broke right now, wouldn't it? But like they don't break, okay? They don't break. It also says the same thing in a different language that I'm not going to read. So, but keep them in the same bags. The way I store a lot of my plastics, I have two. I may go get the other box that I don't have them in this boat. I like these bags, the KVD Plano bags. They work really well. You can throw them. You can actually throw them. Just so you know, it's not a sales pitch for the KVD Plano Speed bags that you can get from Plano. Put them in a big Ziploc bag. Just take your bags. You can take all of them out of here. Whatever you store them in, keep them in the trays, keep them in the bag, put them in the 1 gallon Ziploc bag, and they'll last a very long time. One other thing that I've noticed with Elaztech, you notice in this bag how I've got them stored almost like they're almost like filed. Let me fix this little baggie where you can see it, and I'll hold it up. They're almost like filed, like papers in a file cabinet. This is a cool thing about these Plano bags is they just fold down like that, right? Now, see that? So I just kind of thumb through them and see, okay, I want TRDs, I want a swim bait. Just kind of, file through them. You don't want to lay the bags. Will this be horizontally or this would be horizontal? You don't want to lay them like this. Highly recommend that you don't lay them on top of one another. What I've noticed, especially with baits that have a round profile, like a bang sticks, a TRD, over time, the Elaztech will flatten. So I highly recommend storing your baits, all of your baits, this way, vertically. You lay them on the side. Just the weight of the plastic sometimes will flatten and deform some of the Elaztech. So just, little things that you need to know that you probably didn't worry about when you use traditional plastic. It seems a little bit inconvenient at first, but when you start to realize all the benefits of Elaztech, I fished on this lake out here behind me for 10 hours yesterday. I used like 2 plastics. If I've been using traditional plastics, I would have went through probably 2 bags. And not because I was catching a lot of fish, just a lot of times when you're flipping structure, the hook punches through and you go through a lot of plastics. And obviously when you're catching a lot of fish, you go through a lot of plastics. Or if you're catching a lot of trash fish, you go through a lot of plastics, and you need a lot of baits. I had 1 bag with me yesterday, and you don't need a lot of baits. So just having to take the little bit of care, it also made me a little bit more organized because I had to be more intentional about how I stored my plastics. So thank you, Elaztech, for bringing so much joy and brightness to my life, because you made me get organized. So that's a little bit about storing the Elaztech. Take care of it. Leave it in the bag. Store it vertically so the weight is not pressing down on the bait and deforming the plastic. What else? Never store it in direct light. If you're a bank fisherman, probably don't take a pack of Elaztech and just leave it on the bank while you're going down the bank. It will ruin over time. I think that's all they need to know about storing. Rigging Elaztech can also be different. As I mentioned earlier, I highly recommend that you guys seek out terminal tackle that's for Elaztech. There's some things that you can get away with, obviously, like with a Texas rig or tungsten, things like that. You can get away with just using whatever you want to for a Texas rig, a drop shot, etc. Where you really need to be intentional about your terminal tackle is on jig heads. Jig heads, I would probably say, also kill weighted hooks is where I think is probably the most important to make sure you use Elaztech. Ned heads, trout eye. I do a lot of saltwater fishing, and I use so many of these trout eye jig heads per year. So let me get out a swim bait that I would use with trout eye. The one that I use the most is a 3-inch minnows. I probably caught more fish on a 3-inch minnows. This is not a 3-inch minnows. This is diesel minnows. Diesel minnows is 4 inches. Minnows is 3 inches. This hook should work fine with it, but I use a 3/16 ounce jig head a lot. You see it comes in a little tray, just like what I talked about earlier. But when it comes to rigging it, you see you have a double. You hear that? Double? A double. Have a double keeper. What do you call it? Double barbed. That's the word I was looking for. Double barbed keeper on the jig head, around the collar. I hope that's the right language to use. I'm not really sure, but whatever. You got two stickies on both sides. You need that with Elaztech. I would recommend super glue too. A lot of times you don't have to, but over time, you will eventually wear it out and it'll start slipping down, and that gets very, very aggravating. So you can always size it up. You can see this is a smaller hook. That's why this hook is better for a 3-inch minnows. This is a 4-inch, but that's not really what this video is about. I'm just trying to show you how to get the plastic on the jig head and get it to stay. So a lot of times you see like that's where that hook's gonna land, and be straight on the hook. All right. So what I'll do is I'll see about where it's gonna go. When you're rigging it up on the plastic, there's actually a hollow cavity in all your plastics that's gonna help you rig it up. Also, with Elaztech, since it's very durable, you can reuse these plastics forever. If you don't rig it, you're not satisfied with the way it rigged up. Like I'm not satisfied with the way that looks. It's a little bit, I ran the hook back a little bit too far. You see how you got that little banana boat deal going on? I don't really like that, so I need to shorten that up. Just take it off. It's not like traditional plastic. Once you run traditional plastic up over the barb, you need to make sure it's right where it is, because every time you take it out, it wallers a hole in the plastic and it doesn't hold as good. So now I got it. I just ran up there on the second time, and I like the way that looks a lot better. The thing you notice I forgot to tell you about it while I did it, but you got the 2 barbs. Push it as far as you can get it to the barb, but you grab it like a little 2-year-old that's been acting up. Pull it out, and then pull it up and over the barb. Like, be aggressive with it. Like, you get angry, you can let some frustration out on your Elaztech. It can take it. Pull it up, pull it out, pull it up and over the barb. Then it sets on there, and then look at that. Look at that. It ain't coming off ever. So if you're fishing around trash fish and they're grabbing the tails, they don't break that off. Look, they never break it off. If you super glue that to the head of your jig head, you don't need another one unless you lose it, unless you break it off. You'll never need another one. And the same principle that I just showed you goes for just rigging any kind of Elaztech. Always pull it out, pull it up and over the barb. Obviously, you're probably not going to do that when you're fishing like a Texas rig or drop shot. For instance, with the bang sticks, which is a bait that I like to use for Nico rigging, Texas rigging, when I'm wacky rigging this guy or throwing the Nico, I don't always use a O-ring, but you can, but you don't have to, because look, when you stick a hook through that, that's never going to rip apart. That was always that's why we had O-rings, is because we got so tired of throwing off our plastics when we were wacky rigging, right? Well, you don't have to do that with the Elaztech. Another positive, right? I think that's about it. This same principle goes when you're putting the swim bait or the razor shads that I just showed you. When you're putting those baits on a chatterbait, I don't know if I have a chatterbait here or not. I'm pretty sure I do. Chatterbait or a spinnerbait. You notice the same thing. I'll show you a spinnerbait here. Same thing. It has you notice the barbs on any kind of Elaztech are going to be a little bit sharper. Sharp barbs work really good on Elaztech. You can see it's got a little metal barb right there. If I had a trailer here, I don't have a trailer, I don't think, that I would normally use on a spinnerbait in this particular bag. My trailer of choice would be 100. I got the trailer of choice. The 3-inch minnows. That's the trailer I use on a spinnerbait most of the time. What I do is same thing. 3-inch minnows, like you can lay it up here, see where you want that hook to pop out. About right there. Okay. Yeah. You start in, find that little hollow cavity in your plastic. There's a little area in there that's just a little bit more hollow. Rig it up. You see the keepers on the top, so I'm going to pull it by the top. It can be a little harder with on a spinnerbait when the keeper's on the top. You push it as far as you can, and you take it, grab it like a little child, pull it up and over the keeper, then bop, it's on there. That never comes off ever again for the rest of the life till, I don't know, you would break the spinnerbait wire before that plastic slipped off there, especially if you put a little dot of super glue on it. Super glue works really, really good with the Elaztech. It adheres good. It's on there good, buddy, when you use super glue. So all of them, chatterbait, spinnerbait, always just remember to take it, pull it out, pull it up, and let it rest on top of the keeper. You'll never have a problem. So I think those tips will help you. I think I covered everything that you really need to know about rigging Elaztech. Actually, I'm going to cover one more. This is a bonus tip. Bonus tip. Bonus tip. Put that on the screen. Bonus tip. Texas rigging Elaztech. Let's just grab something that I would Texas rig. The goat. Let's take the goat. I'll show you how you Texas rig this guy. I'm just going to grab a straight shank hook here. Maybe it won't be a straight shank hook. Who knows? Let's see what kind of hooks we got here. There's a straight shank hook. All right. One thing that's always been popular when you're Texas rigging, this is my goat right here. It's just a little creature bait you can use for all kinds of different things, from Texas rigging to chatterbait trailer, spinnerbait trailer. You can use it for top water. I've actually put it in my spaghetti before. What you want to do, text posing has always been popular, right? Where you rig it up on the hook, turn it around, poke it through, and then push the hook point all the way back through the plastic like that. Well, with Elaztech, you don't have to do that because it's softer than any other plastic. A lot of people say, well, I know it's durable, but what's the hookup ratio? Well, the hookup ratio is good, Reggie, because the soft plastic is softer than, it's soft. It's like a little teddy bear. It's like a little gummy worm. You don't have to worry about hookup ratio because it's so soft. That's one of the other best things about it, is just the hook penetration. The hooks pop through really easily. But the downside of that is the hook pops through so easily that sometimes you can stay hung up a lot. So I never text pose when using Elaztech. I always rig it up, put it on, and I try to bury the hook in the plastic as much as possible to keep it to keep it weedless, because that plastic is soft and there's no need to text pose. That hook point is going to pop through on Elaztech because it's just so soft. It's durable, but it's soft. All right, so the hook point is going to pop through. I recommend when you are Texas rigging to bury it as far as you can into the plastic. It'll pop through and you'll get a bonus tip. That's it. Hope those tips help you. Elaztech, store it right, rig it right, and you'll be right.